So most of the time when I'm ordering used books, I am really hoping that there is not unexpected writing that was not in the description. But in this case, there was unexpected writing in this book, which has me really excited, and I feel like I won the jackpot, so I want to talk about that. And so this book, I mean, the thing is, it's a personal note on the second page, and usually, like, personal notes, I'm like, yeah, that's not interrupting my reading, and it's kind of neat. But this one is really interesting because, so it says, "To Viola, who taught me everything I know, with warmest wishes, Adam." And so this book is written by Adam Hochschild, who I mentioned in a previous video. I'm reading this book because I want to write about the connection culturally, the legacy between the Spanish Republic and a different extinct South African regime, Rhodesia. However, when I was looking at this book, I was like, oh, I should look, see if he's written anything else. I read King Leopold's Ghost forever ago. I feel like I read some of his other stuff, but I haven't. And I was like, oh, he wrote a book on South Africa, which is interesting because it sounds kind of similar to... So I have a novel that I was trying to write last year, year before, and I put it on hold because I realized... So it's alternate history, so I was bringing it to my science fiction fantasy writing group. But I realized it's basically fictional nonfiction, which is not... Normal fantasy science fiction readers aren't really the audience for that. I don't know who would be, but the one person who really liked it was comparing it to David Foster Wallace's Infinite Jest, which I need to read at some point. So I have an interest in this subject, and I'm like, I need to get this, especially because this sounds kind of like the book that the main character of my novel set out to write, and it kind of is. Not exactly, but there's a lot of commonalities. However, again, the inscription in the front of this book, "From Adam to Viola." And so I looked up his signature, and I'll put on screen signature from Wikipedia, and it matches this. And so then I'm like, so this is really interesting. This book was a personal gift from the author to someone who was sort of a mentor to him. And so who is Viola? Well, I looked at the acknowledgments in the back, and I don't know how easy it will be to see that there is a Violaine Junod, but I'm going to probably put a picture on screen too. And so I looked up, well, can I find out who this Violaine Junod is? And Wikipedia has an article on her grandfather mentioning that she wrote a biography of him, and I see references to she wrote something called the Handbook of Africa. She wrote a few other things too. And then I found, and I printed this out because I am a boomer when it comes to papers and I don't like reading them online, an article from 2023, which is the 100-year anniversary of her birth, from Brigham Young University of all places, a short biography of Violaine Junod. And I'm pretty sure this is the person that my copy of this book was given to, Violaine Junod. She was about 20 years older than Hochschild. She came from a prominent family of Swiss missionaries and anthropologists, and she became a anti-apartheid political activist and anthropologist herself. And she left South Africa for 30 years because of her frustrations with apartheid rule, and she went to the UK for a bit. She lived in Uganda under Idi Amin, which is a terrifying story, although she managed to get out of that. Then she went to Mozambique for a while, which is where she was actually born. And then she ultimately died in 2000 in Pretoria or Johannesburg. I can never keep those two cities straight. But it's like, yeah, so this was a historical person of some, not one of the biggest figures, but still an interesting historical figure who I would not have heard of, except that I got her copy of this book that was given to her as a gift by the author, because he says she taught him everything he knows. Presumably he means about South Africa. So I just found this really interesting. It's a little piece of history. It's connected to a novel that I wanted to, I mean, that's why I got it, is because I was like, this sounds kind of like the book that my character in this novel was trying to write. And it's cool that this is like, I win the jet, because I've had occasionally, like, I've gotten books where it's like, oh, it's signed by the author, but it's always that bookstore thing where they have that sticker where it's just the author's name and nothing else. This is the only time I've got something like this where it's actually a personal inscription from the author, and it's, oh, this book was actually owned by some historic figure who I would not have known about her except for this inscription in this book. And so that is just a cool story that I wanted to share. I'm really excited about it. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm Magpie, and I'll see y'all in the next one.